In an exceptionally serene region in the Donbas district in Ukraine, Mykola lives with his pregnant spouse Nastya. The two of them are known as the principal eco-settlers nearby. Nastya is a craftsman who preferences drawing and woodcarving. She even makes a wood holy messenger for Mykola, so he can have an insurance special necklace. Mykola is a mathematician, physicist, and biologist that educates at the nearby school, which he goes to on his bike. The gesture of goodwill outside their house is the paw of the white raven, addressing an old legend of a raven that had sympathy for individuals and brought them new water and food, losing its quills all the while. Due to the absence of gadgets at home, 2 or 3 gets no news until Mykola goes to work and gets a couple of moments of television throughout his break. That is the means by which he finds out about the dissidents that were killed in Ukraine's capital city and Russia conceivably attacking the country. During class, Mykola is pestered by understudy Ivan, who thinks his educator is a more peculiar and a misfit, so he needs to get rid of him. However, Mykola never allows him to outrage him since he has confidence in pacifism and dealing with directing the young's brain. One morning en route to work, Mykola sees a few fighters remaining by the street, yet pays them no psyche. At the point when he at long last shows up at school, he is stunned to think that it is vacant, and the television rapidly explains to him why. Russia has attacked Ukraine. Recollecting the officers he saw before, Mykola stresses over his significant other and surges back to his home. Yet it is as of now past the point of no return. The Russians are there whipping Nastya, and they get Mykola too when he attempts to protect her. After the troopers ensure they are not spies, they light a fire inside the house and leave. However, when Nastya attempts to fight back by tossing a stone at them, the warriors feel free to her before at last disappearing. Crushed, Mykola grips to his better half's body while watching his home burn to the ground. Hours after the fact, 2 individuals from the Ukrainian civilian army track down Mykola, and subsequent to really looking at his personality to ensure he is a blameless non-military personnel, they assist him with digging a grave for Nastya. Then, at that point, they remove him with them to their base, despite the fact that prior to leaving, Mykola makes a point to take the wood heavenly messenger with him as the last memory of his better half. The higher-ups at the base are unsettled about the unexpected appearance of an outsider, since he could be a covert operative, yet Mykola rapidly shows what he can do by saying he needs to enlist in the military and drive the Russians out of their country. From that point on, Mykola is shipped off a weighty instructional class, where he should figure out how to debilitate his body and use guns, 2 things that as a radical he has never finished. Dismantling and gathering weapons is especially hard for himself, and it procures him the joke of his bosses, particularly when he reports he has picked Raven as a codename. Mykola doesn't allow them to put him down and trains extra hard, keeping awake until late with weapon practice and keeping the wood holy messenger close, so he always remembers his goal: pursuing retribution for his significant other. Half a month after the fact, the students realize there are insufficient riflemen at the front, and the military is searching for volunteers for the gig. Very few individuals are intrigued, however Mykola promptly chips in, just to be met with more joke. Still not able to surrender, Mykola takes a test to show what he can do. He dismantles and reassembles an AK-47 while blindfolded in less than 20 seconds, at long last gaining everybody's appreciation. They likewise begin calling him Raven as he needed. The hypothetical piece of expert sharpshooter preparing comes effectively to Mykola on account of his insight into math and material science, having the option to do computations quicker than the actual instructors. He is likewise magnificent at observing the main guideline, which is keeping totally still and calm in any event when a teacher takes shots at the ground close to him. Sadly, he doesn't do well with regards to the genuine shooting on the grounds that, for reasons unknown, they have given him an alternate weapon from every other person, the sort of gun that isn't able for war killing. Whenever Mykola brings up this, he is told to manage it. Once more, Mykola won't surrender and makes an arrangement to demonstrate what he can do. The last expert rifleman test is during the evening, and the students should shoot when a flare shot by the teacher gives them enough light around their subjects. Anyway, Mykola doesn't as yet shoot. He utilizes the light to compute the distance, and when the test is finished, then he shoots under complete murkiness and raises a ruckus around town precisely in the middle, something no other person may do. This permits Mykola to graduate with the most elevated score and turns out to be doled out to a 5-star unit. For his most memorable mission, Mykola and his kindred expert riflemen should free a significant designated spot that has been caught by the Russians. The group effectively slips into the area without being identified, and every expert marksman gets relegated an objective. However, when they are going to shoot, they should stop the arrangement on the grounds that a regular citizen vehicle moves toward the designated spot. The Russian fighters make the two regular people emerge and turn in their travel papers, declining to give them back when they request that the couple leave. The man sets a scene as he expectations to be given his things back, making the Russian fighters answer with viciousness. Mykola's group sees this and promptly assaults, killing each warrior with speedy, productive shots, including the person that attempts to keep the regular citizen lady prisoner. When the mission is finished, the group drapes the Ukrainian banner to retake control of the designated spot. At the point when they return to base, Mykola hears his kindred novices have left on an alternate mission, so he utilizes this snapshot of margin time to visit the school he used to work at, winding up profoundly moved by the barren sight of the dusty study halls. The following day, when the other group returns, Mykola is hit by the hardest of information. One of his companions has kicked the bucket on account of a faux expert sharpshooter. This adds to the rundown of justifications for why Mykola needs to pursue retribution. For the following mission, Mykola's group conceals a lot of explosives on trees behind leaves before they conceal in the grass, while trusting that their foe will appear. At the point when the Russian troopers show up in the woodland as reports had expected, Mykola wonders whether or not to shoot, since he sees something he cannot accept. Ivan has enlisted in the Russian armed force and is coming this way with their other adversaries. He wakes up when the chief orders him to shoot, and Mykola stirs things up around town, killing each Russian fighter including Ivan. At the point when the commander gets some information about and hears Mykola's clarification, he answers Ivan had settled on his decision. Later throughout a break, Mykola and the skipper bond over their recollections of home. The skipper conveys with him an image of his family and makes sense if he has a concurrence with his significant other not to tell his girls the idea of his work, so they think he is away on a work excursion. Consequently, Mykola shows him the wood holy messenger, making sense of it represents his own loved ones. A couple of days after the fact, the Ukrainian powers figure out how to get the channels by the boundary, so the rifleman group gets ready to hang tight for the Russian powers that are preparing to attack this district. Keeping the holy messenger with him consistently, Mykola prepares to take care of his business, yet he loses his standard smoothness when he sees that among the showing up Russian warriors, he can see the man that killed his significant other. Frantic for vengeance, Mykola continues to request consent to shoot, and the chief turns him down each time in light of the fact that the adversary isn't in the right position yet. In the long run, Mykola becomes weary of stalling and shoots in any case, stirring things up around town, yet in addition, offering their area to a secret faux rifleman that promptly fights back and kills the chief. As the Russians open shoot on them, Mykola needs to drag the chief's body through the field while avoiding each disaster and each bomb. Hours after the fact, when Mykola at last returns to the base, his unrivaled commitments, there will be an examination to figure out the sharpshooter that killed the chief, and when they at long last find him, they will call Mykola to deal with him. In the meantime, Mykola is overpowered with culpability and chooses to hurl himself entirely into solo missions to compensate for his error. His rifleman abilities are still right on track, and he figures out how to bring down numerous Russian fighters, yet without anybody keeping him honest. He likewise gets excessively hazardous and winds up with an injured arm, brought about by a faux projectile. Mykola goes to a mysterious refuge to find opportunity to recuperate and watch the news to get a report on the political status of the discussions with Russia. However, his break is intruded on by a significant call. It turns out the military has tracked down the area of the rifleman that killed the commander, so Mykola needs to return. Before the mission starts, the officers are let all the data know that has been assembled up until this point. The rifleman's slugs are far-reaching. He has proactively killed 5 Ukrainian expert marksmen and 3 heavy armament specialists, and he is Sari. To exacerbate the situation, he records every one of his kills and presents the recordings on discourage them. He even had the nerve to post the recording of their chief's demise. In some measure, this large number of losses have permitted them to pinpoint Sari's area, and since they cannot fill the spot with mines due to a chlorine stockpiling in the synthetic plant where the foe is stowing away, they have thought of a substitute arrangement. Their marksmen will take out the lower troopers to make room for Mykola to sneak inside and get Sari up close and personal. At the point when the mission starts, every one of the Ukrainian sharpshooters get ready and trust that Mykola will help inside the structure by creeping through the field. The principal warrior he finds is the other man that had gone after his home despite everything recalls Mykola, saying he ought to have killed him the initial time. In the wake of killing him with one fast and fulfilling shot, Mykola gives his partners the all right to assault, provoking every one of the Ukrainian sharpshooters to shoot simultaneously and dealing with the breadth of the area without raising any cautions. There are just 2 Russian marksmen left, including Sari. They don't see there is an off-base thing until they quit getting messages over the comms and go to beware of their kindred fighters, thinking that they are dead, while Mykola utilizes the opportunity to get further into the structure inconspicuous. Sari calls for reinforcement and sends the other officer to keep watch before he gets back to his spot, where he is shocked to see a little wood holy messenger. At that point Mykola emerges, bouncing on Sari to kill him with a blade, while the other Russian officer succumbs to a projectile that is sitting tight for him. Then the reinforcement that Sari called for shows up at the area, so Mykola utilizes Sari's radio to let the new warriors know that they will pay for what they did. When the Russian truck leaves, the Ukrainian warriors open fire on it, dispensing with every one of the objectives right away. Since Mykola has retaliated for his significant other, his companion, and his chief, he chooses to bring a crush and go spirit home to visit Nastya's grave, trying to fix the cross that had fallen. Tragically, however much he misses his home, he cannot remain on the grounds that there is significantly more work to accomplish for his country. Before long he is on one more independent mission, prepared to bring down however many Russian fighters as needs be.